Hello, everyone. This is an opportunity to launch a new venture to offer live theatrical productions to an underserved geographical area in Connecticut. This new venture is called the Plymouth Theater Company. Our plan is to initially set it up as a limited liability company for the first 3 to 5 years and then apply for nonprofit status. And the rationale for that is that grants from corporate foundations and state, federal agencies prefer that an organization has some history and a proven track record before they advance any funds. This is an untapped market. We have a geographical population of about 110,000. It solves a problem. It is innovative. No current organization exists to serve this population of 110,000. The nearest theatrical organization is about outside of a 20-mile radius. So in addition, this is innovative because we're going to be adding value to the community. We expect at some point within the first 5 years that we will eventually provide potential employment and even some educational opportunities. In support of this new opportunity, we've asked some questions and started to establish some goals. The first is, what kind of costs are going to be needed to establish a theater and operate it for 1 year? How many productions are we going to need to do for 1 year to support those operations? Do we start with 4, gradually increase to 7 productions a year? How are we going to secure funding? Are we going to solicit donations? Are we going to be making personal investments? And actually, what do we think preliminarily, how much would the initial investment be to start this opportunity? And we think right now that that's going to be about $125,000. Our second goal here, in support of that, we're also going to look at the most cost-effective advertising avenues, whether that's printing, online, email, social media. As part of that process, we'll start to solicit bids to develop the theater's website. We're also going to look at purchasing a locally based mailing list, also a database for targeted advertising for the area. And finally, what we're probably going to do is we'll also conduct some local surveys just to see what kind of theatrical production offerings our audience would like to see. Then as part of our third goal, we're going to start looking at some appropriate commercial-ready properties available for rent. We're estimating that right now we'll probably need a space of about 5,000 square feet, and that we'll need enough space to build and install a 150-seat theater. We also are going to initiate discussions with the town of Plymouth to see if they have any kind of an appetite for a joint venture to develop a commercial location for the theater. But at some point, we are expecting to finalize all this research to either purchase or to rent commercial property for the theater location. And our fourth goal, this is all about launching the business. We're going to start out by, we'll engage legal counsel, we'll create the business documents to form the Plymouth Theater Company, we'll hire a local accounting firm to set up the initial books and records of the theater, and finally, we're going to file documents to register the theater company with the state of Connecticut and with the Internal Revenue Service. This is the heart of our business, financial considerations. The key question that we're going to ask here is, are we being adequately thorough in evaluating the business side of show business? As part of that, the first thing we'll look at is the income statement. This income statement is a projection. It's a pro forma optimistic estimate of the first 5 years of operations. It is normal that a new venture will experience net losses during the first few years of the business as it begins to build. So we do anticipate that to happen for the Plymouth Theater Company. But we also believe that it's entirely reasonable that we will begin to be profitable in the third year. We're assuming that ticket sales will be 50% for the first year with 4 productions and gradually improve ticket sales about 15% every year. Along with that, we'll also be adding 1 additional production per year. And so by year 4, we should max out at 7 productions. And of course, along with the increase in attendance, we're also projecting that the concession sales will also pick up along with advertising. In support of building that business, we do need to invest in growth, and that includes adequate capital expenditures. We are expecting to invest $40,000 the first year, and that is to build the 150 seats for the audience. And we're also expecting to do the initial purchase of some building materials, lighting, sound equipment. Thereafter, we are expecting to continue to invest about $30,000 a year, and that is to either add new equipment, upgrade old equipment. We'll also need new tools to build sets, new material to build costumes. We're also going to need to invest in improving our sound and lighting systems. We cannot overemphasize the importance of the balance sheet. In our view, it is even more important than the income statement. It acts as a scorecard. It scores the value of the business. We see this as a critical decision-making tool because it should show if there is sufficient working capital to keep operations going. Are we grounded in reality about the condition of the business? Do we have sufficient assets to support the ongoing operations of the business? Are we using those assets efficiently? Are we financially healthy? So just like the income statement, we may start out strong at year 0, but we do recognize that we'll take a dip on retained earnings during the first 2 years as operations get up and running. However, we anticipate that by year 3, assets will increase and that liabilities are going to remain steady. Cash is king. Let me just repeat that. Cash is king. Our initial cash investment and the income generated is expected to be sufficient to cover our negative cash flow during the first 2 years. But just like net losses on the income statement and negative retained earnings on a balance sheet, we anticipate that our cash flow will start to be positive beginning in year 3. To wrap this up, this is a map of the geographic area for this new business venture for the Plymouth Theater Company. We believe that there is an opportunity to offer engaging live theatrical productions to an untapped and underserved geographic location in Connecticut. We do admit that the new venture here is definitely ambitious, but we believe it's also fully supported by achievable goals and objectives. And while we also admit that the scope of this presentation was not comprehensive, we've done extensive research into the various cost assumptions to launch the venture, such as legal, accounting, website establishment, rent, utilities, and probably most importantly, the production costs for all the performances. But the heart of this venture is critically dependent on a financial consideration section, which we discussed before. That section is the meat and potatoes of this project. So without us taking the steps to carefully analyze the business of show business, we don't believe that this endeavor would be successful. Well, this is Bill Wilson. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation on a Plymouth Theater Company. Thank you.